human beings, Homo sapiens, been on this planet 50,000 years-ish, right? And for 40 of those 50,000 years, literally 4/5 of our time on this planet, we lived in populations that were never larger than about 150 people. And we didn't all live on top of each other. I mean, they were communities. And the way we survived in these dangerous times was we took care of each other. You know, we contributed. Some people built things, some people hunted for things, some people made food, some people we took care of the kids, we made their families, and the wealth was distributed. You know, there's evidence they found in anthropological digs where the best cuts of meat, which you would think would go to all the alphas, because I'm the strongest, I get to choose the food first, you know, the best cuts of meat, which they can tell by the bones, are actually distributed amongst the tribe. In other words, the alphas, the leaders, yes, they were entitled to eat first. That's just the way we are. We're hierarchical animals. You know, nobody has a problem that somebody more senior, nobody has visceral contempt for the idea that somebody more senior in an organization makes more money than me. We're okay with our alphas getting better treatment. You know, nobody has a problem with celebrities, you know,
making more money and getting famous.
Getting a table in the restaurant that we have to wait for. We're okay with it. You know, it's one of the reasons we all try and increase our standing in society by doing good, and hopefully you do it in a good way, not just getting internet famous, which is getting fame without any contribution to society. Different subject.
Right.
But it was shared hardships, shared sacrifice for the good of each other. That doesn't mean there wasn't ego and selfishness, of course. But at the end of the day, we needed each other.
Yeah.
And then about 10 or 12,000 years ago, when we started farming, we didn't need to travel anymore. We could stay put. And we could also sustain much larger populations than about 150, because we could amass resources. This also allowed for ruling classes and intelligentsia and things like that. You can have an entire group of people who didn't hunt and didn't gather, they just governed, like it's a ruling class, that's what it is.
Right.
Or they just thought about it.
They became philosophers. Yeah.
Like we had the resources for that, and we were okay with it, and it's a good thing, because look at the advancements in modern society in the past 10,000 years. Simply because you didn't have to go toil the field. You could actually go invent something.
You could innovate.
You could innovate, right? So it's a good thing, but scale breaks things for human beings.
Yeah.
We were not naturally made for living in large populations. And so the way it works best is when we organize into smaller groups, which is why hierarchy matters, which is why leadership training matters. So you asked about, is the top person responsible? No, the top person is responsible for taking care of the people in their direct responsibility and ensuring that they are charged with and incentivized to take care of the people with their direct responsibility, who are charged with and incentivized to take care of the people in their direct responsibility, and the people on the front lines who are actually doing all the work feel taken care of and are happy to contribute.
Yeah.
There's a Marine that I know, who's a Marine general, who says the way he can judge the quality of a lieutenant is he listens to how the troops talk about their lieutenant. So
when he's not around.
Is it the lieutenant or is it our lieutenant?
Ooh.
They take possession of their leader.
Wow.
Right? That's our lieutenant. Right? Versus it's always the colonel. It's never our colonel. It's always the colonel, because there's no relationship. It's too distant, right? So as soon as we take possession, emotional possession of our leaders, there's a sign of devotion and mutual trust. But that relationship starts with how the leader leads. Yes, we have a responsibility to give back, but we call you leader not because you have the rank. We call you leader because you took the risk to trust first. We call you leader because you took the risk to build the relationship first. You took the risk to create the circle of safety first. You took the risk to go head first towards the vision first. That's why we call you leader, because you undertook an element of risk. You literally lead. You went first. Right? Nothing to do with rank.
Into the unknown first.
Into the unknown, whatever it is, right? And then we have a responsibility to go, I'm coming. I support. There's good followership too. You always do this to me whenever we get together. You get me, the best leaders are actually the best followers.
In what ways? What do you mean?
The best leaders never think that they're the final that the buck stops with them. They always believe that they're in service to something bigger than themselves. And even if that leader, the person in the leadership position, gets to the tippy top of whatever organization, they still feel that they're subordinate to something even bigger, right? So the Pope still thinks that he's in service to something bigger than him, right? A CEO of a visionary organization feels that they are still beholden to and following a vision bigger than them. So the best leaders actually are the best followers, even if they're at the highest levels of the organization, they're still in service. So I think it's ironic that we call it self-confidence, because I don't, for one, think it comes from the inside. I think our self-confidence comes from the outside. We are being misdirected by the name. When we say build your self-confidence, that's the instruction is saying go inside, look inside oneself. But I think that's a false direction. Children aren't born self-confident. Their confidence is built from their parents and their friends and their teachers, where they're rewarded when they do well and they're pushed when they fail, when they can do better. Simply, we know this, that simply telling kids that they're great all the time actually doesn't build self-confidence, actually does the total opposite, right? And I, for one, I can tell you, in my own experience, my own self-confidence 100% comes from the relationships that I have. It's not some deep internal fortitude. A world-famous trapeze artist is not going to try a brand new death-defying act for the first time without a net. So it's the people in my life. It's when I do doubt myself that somebody says, you got this. When somebody says, I believe in you. When somebody says, no matter what happens, whether it succeeds or fails, I'm going to be by your side. That's when I have the confidence to do difficult things.
Wow.
Right? I don't have some natural battery that just
right.
That to me is bravado.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's self-confidence. Being a huge risk taker is not an indication of self-confidence to me. Jumping out of a plane and jumping out of a plane with a parachute are two different things. Right?
Right.
To me, self-confidence is measured, and there should be a degree of doubt. But I think true self-confidence, belief in oneself and belief in one's cause, I could not do the things that I'm doing, and I would not have the strength to have made the sacrifices that I've made, or continue to wake up on a daily basis to drive to spread this message, if I were alone. And so when we talk about building one's self-confidence, I think the mistake that we make is that we look inside. I think the reality is when we try to build our self-confidence, we should be looking to our friends, we should be nursing our relationships. When I'm looking to build my self-confidence, the question is, who around me do I need to take care of? The way we build our self-confidence is by helping somebody else build theirs.
Right.
It's an act of, we will build our confidence with an act of service. So I'll tell you a true story. So I did an experiment. I love doing experiments in my own life.
Yeah, me too.
I have mad thoughts, and I'm like, well, let's try this one out. So I have a very dear friend who has stuck with me through thick and thin, she is absolutely profoundly one of the reasons that I am who I am today, right? And I have my confidence in large part because of her, right? She's one of a small group of people who I look at and say, yep, good friend, right? Yeah. She was struggling, like seriously struggling. Oh, let me take a step back. So we decided that we were gonna. She was struggling. She was going through some hard things in her life. Career wasn't going the way she wanted. Her personal relationship was struggling. There was a lot of rough.
She was lacking confidence.
There was a lot of rough.
Yeah.
She was lacking confidence.
Yeah.
And we would get together on a regular basis, and I would attempt to coach her, And she'd feel great for the hour after she left me, and then it would very quickly go back to normal. Right. And we'd get back together and I would coach her, and she felt great for the hour after she left me, and then it would go back to normal. And I can't say that there was some profound change being made in her life. So I had a harebrained idea. I went to her and I said, I need your help. I said, I'm struggling. I don't have a coach that I love and trust. You've known me for years. I trust you with everything. I feel unbelievably safe around you. Can you put together a program and can you coach me? I think you're good at it. And it wasn't reciprocal. It was an I'll coach you, you coach me. I said, it's just I need your help because I'm struggling. It was legit. It wasn't like I was just making stuff up.
You were stressed.
It was legit. I could do with the help, and I trusted her to help me. And something profound started to happen. Over the course of just a few weeks, it wasn't even a few months, but over the course of a few weeks, she started to gain way more confidence. Her career started to really move in a more positive direction. Her relationship firmed up. And the more that she was in service to me, the more that she grew herself.